If you're someone who's thinking about starting their journey on accumulating frequent flyer points, what if I told you that the points that you're accumulating aren't as valuable as you might think? Now, flying business class or first class is an experience that most people dream about, but for most, it's an experience that is out of our budgets. Now, that's where the beauty of frequent flyer points come in, because it can be up to 90% cheaper if you redeem those same flights using frequent flyer points. I myself booked business class for my partner and I traveling back from Europe to Melbourne with Singapore Airlines, and it only cost us $156. Which, if you would believe it, is actually cheaper than a one-way economy flight from Melbourne to Sydney with Qantas. Now, whilst this sounds awesome, before you commence this long journey of accumulating frequent flyer points, I want to share with you 5 key points that you need to know before you start. And I will stress the word long because accumulating frequent flyer points can be a relatively slow process, unless you're spending like tens of thousands of dollars each month. You typically only reap the rewards of frequent flyer points after a certain period of time. The first point that you should know about is that the value of your frequent flyer points can vary drastically depending on how you redeem them. And because there's also typically a cost associated to earning those points, it's even more important to understand how much value we're actually getting. Frequent flyer programs like Qantas and Velocity will give you a number of different options on how you can redeem your points. From buying new kitchen appliances, getting gift cards to use at the groceries, or booking luxury hotel packages. The options are truly endless, and whilst it can be tempting to use your frequent flyer points for one of these redemptions, the best value for your frequent flyer points is always going to be redeeming them for travel. So to give you a rough estimate of what each frequent flyer is worth based on the redemption option, here's a rough breakdown. By far the worst redemption value is going to be redeeming your points for gift cards or purchasing products at only 0.5 cents per point. Booking hotel rooms usually gives you around 0.8 cents in value, whilst reward flights will vary between 1.5 cents when booking economy reward flights, all the way up to 4 to 5 cents and greater for business class or first class reward seats. Now, when it comes to the costs that are associated with earning frequent flyer points, with sign-up bonuses that are attached to credit cards, there typically will be an annual fee that you'll need to pay. Also, oftentimes with credit cards that are linked to a frequent flyer program like Qantas, there'll also be a reward program service fee as well. As an example, the ANZ frequent flyer Black Card has a sign-up bonus of 90,000 Qantas points, but also has an associated annual fee of $425, of which $55 of that is the reward program service fee. Now, on an ongoing basis, when you use your credit card for your everyday purchases, you will also be earning frequent flyer points, which is great, but typically there will also be a cost associated with that as well. With the ANZ Black Card, you earn 1 point per dollar that you spend. So if you went to a restaurant and you spent $100, you would be earning 100 Qantas points. But with all restaurants in Australia, you'd also probably end up paying a 1.5% fee on top of your final bill if you're using to pay with a credit card. So those 100 Qantas points that you just earned really cost you $1.50. Now, if you decided to use your Qantas points for gift cards, then each one of those points would be worth 0.5 cents per point, which means you really only earned 50 cents in value, but you spent $1.50 to earn those points, meaning you're actually losing $1 of value. On the other hand, if we redeem those same points for business class reward seats, then we'd be receiving 4 cents per point in value. Then those same 100 Qantas points would now be worth $4, but only cost us $1.50 to obtain, giving you a net benefit of $2.50. That's why, as a general rule of thumb, if you're not redeeming your frequent flyer points for at least an economy reward flight, then you might actually be losing value instead of gaining value. Now, in a perfect world, ideally, you'd always be redeeming your frequent flyer points for business class reward seats. However, I understand that that's not possible due to the second point that I wanted to make in this video, and that's that business class reward seats are difficult to find. If you thought that once you had accumulated enough frequent flyer points that you'd just be able to book a business class reward seat for you and your partner on your next holiday, then you'd be in for a rude awakening. Finding and booking business class reward seats requires meticulous planning, patience, and persistence. I have a total of 3 business class flights that I've booked this year, and I probably spent weeks meticulously planning out which routes I'm flying, which airlines I'm flying with, and then ensuring I had enough points to book those reward flights. For my first flight this year at the end of April, I'll be flying with Qatar Airways, departing from Melbourne and then arriving in Madrid. I booked those flights last year on the 20th of May, which means I booked 345 days in advance. For my second flight from Istanbul back to Melbourne with Singapore Airlines, I booked those 355 days in advance. And for the most recent ones which we just booked, which was from Japan back to Melbourne with Singapore Airlines via Virgin Australia, my partner and I were literally up past midnight refreshing our phones to book those reward flights the minute they were released. We were tracking those specific flights for over a week as we knew that Virgin Australia released partner airline flights past midnight. However, we didn't exactly know what time. So we were just constantly refreshing our phones the night that they were meant to be released. And once they came up at 1 a.m, we immediately booked them. I've uploaded a number of videos in the past talking about the best ways to book business class reward flights, so definitely check them out after this video if you're interested. But a key point to take away is that airlines will typically have a schedule as to when they release their reward seats, which is why planning is absolutely critical. Singapore Airlines releases a batch of reward seats 355 days before the flight's departure date, whilst with Virgin Australia, they typically release them 330 days in advance, and Qatar, they actually release them 361 days in advance. This is why planning your holidays and flights well ahead of time is absolutely critical if you want to have a chance at booking a business class reward seat. Because typically, if you haven't booked them on the day that they're released, especially if it's a popular route, then after a matter of days or weeks, it's most likely going to be booked out. Another important tip is to be flexible with your flights, as sometimes you won't be able to book the flight on the specific date that you're looking to fly. Now, for our flight from Japan back to Melbourne, we actually booked that on the 1st of January 2026. Now, ideally, we would have actually booked it for the 2nd or the 3rd, given that I'll still be on annual leave during those days. But we didn't want to risk not being able to book business class reward seats, so we just settled on the 1st when those seats became available. And luckily we did, because we kept checking to see if any business class seats came up on the 2nd and 3rd, and unfortunately only economy reward seats came up. If they did become available on those days, then somebody had actually already beat us to the punch in booking them. Now, things get even harder if you're looking to book with Qantas, because they no longer release reward seats based on a set schedule. And in fact, they actually just release them in batches in random. At least that's what it seems like right now. So it makes it even harder to book business class reward seats with Qantas right now. And by the way, make sure you guys subscribe to my free weekly newsletter where I share the latest updates about travel, credit cards, and tips regarding personal finance. The third point that I wanted to touch on is that if you're looking to fast track your points accumulation journey, then credit card hacking is the best way to do so. Credit card churning, put simply, is a process where someone takes advantage of sign-up bonuses attached to credit cards in order to accumulate frequent flyer points as quickly as possible. Credit card companies will oftentimes offer lucrative sign-up bonuses in order to entice new customers to sign up to their cards. And because these sign-up bonuses can earn you tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of frequent flyer points, it is by far the quickest way to accumulate frequent flyer points. If you're just using the same credit card day after day, month after month, and just putting your everyday transactions onto that card, then it's going to take you a long time to accumulate enough points for a business class reward flight. By taking advantage of these sign-up bonuses, we can accumulate hundreds of thousands of points in a matter of months. In fact, last year, my partner and I accumulated over 500,000 frequent flyer points by doing this exact strategy. The process follows a simple 4-step framework. Simply apply for a new credit card, meet the spend requirements required to earn the sign-up bonus, and then once you receive your sign-up bonus, then cancel the card. It's as simple as that. Once you've gone through each one of these steps, it's essentially a process that can be rinsed and repeated. The fourth point is to be aware of any earn rate limits associated with your credit card. Now, whilst I just mentioned that sign-up bonuses are the best way to accumulate frequent flyer points quickly, the points that you earn from using your credit card for your everyday expenses do add up over time. And by ensuring that we're optimizing our spend across our credit cards, we can ensure that we maximize the number of frequent flyer points that we earn. What I mean by this is that some credit cards will oftentimes have a cap on the frequent flyer points that you can earn. So for example, with my HSBC Star Alliance credit card, I earn 1 Star Alliance point per dollar spent for the first $3,000. And after that, I actually only earn 0.5 points. So in my situation, I would put all of my expenses on my Star Alliance credit card up until that first $3,000 and then divert the remaining spend to another credit card to ensure I'm maximizing the number of frequent flyer points that I'm earning. The last point that I wanted to share is to ensure that any points that you do accumulate, don't let them expire. My partner's parents had over 60,000 Qantas points that expired because they didn't use them in time. Each frequent flyer program will have its own T's and C's, but all points will expire if there's been no activity on your account over a certain period of time. With Qantas, you have 18 months before your points expire if there's been no activity, whilst with Virgin Australia, you have 24 months, and with Singapore Airlines, you have 36 months. Now within these timeframes, if you haven't earned or spent any points, then unfortunately your points will automatically expire. But what this means is that it's a pretty straightforward process to avoid your points expiring. Simply ensure that you're spending your points or earning additional points within those timeframes. Every time there's activity on your account, that time frame essentially refreshes itself. Now, if you've been unfortunate enough that some of your points have expired in the past, with some frequent flyer programs, you can actually redeem them back. Qantas offers a mechanism for you to redeem your points that have expired called the Qantas Points Challenge. As long as you contact Qantas within 6 months of your points expiring, the Qantas Points Challenge will reinstate all of your expired Qantas points, providing you earn at least 2,500 Qantas points within 3 months. Which isn't a hard task to do. You can easily earn those points simply by shopping and paying for all of your bills on a Qantas points earning credit card. So those are the 5 points that I wanted to cover off in this video. Now it might not be an exhaustive list that you need to know. However, these are some of the points that I wish I knew before I started on my points accumulation journey. I hope today's video has helped you out. If you guys still have any further questions, then make sure you drop them down below and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. If you guys want to support the channel, then make sure to hit that like button down below as well and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future. And if you guys want to learn more about credit card churning, which as I mentioned in this video, is the best way to accumulate as much frequent flyer points as possible in the shortest period of time, then check out this video right here.